Hey there, TNA fam. How's it going? We are back at the Impact Zone podcast. Here again to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. And, well, we know the news. We know the news of what's going on with the TNA NXT Showdown, Invasion show, etc. So I've been debating as to whether to discuss what's going on with the teams, and because I've seen so many people giving their takes and saying, why are they doing this, why are they doing that, da 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 da, this is stupid, this is dumb, this is silly, da 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 da. Why would you stop and think for a second? How about that? Do you know why this person is in this team, or why this person? Because there is what, TNA fam? A story-based reason for it. Oh my god. It's almost like that's the plan, guys. Come on, for frick's sake. And this is not just me trying to clown on or whatever some marks online or whatever. This is like a lot of wrestling journalists as well. They've been going, why would you put Kalani Jordan as the face of TNA's women's team? She's an NXT superstar. Because guess what? They are going to develop a story amongst those wrestlers that are involved in that. She might tag with the Inspiration or tag against the Inspiration or what have you. She might have a match with Mara Shade down the road. You might see Indy Hartwell come in and do some stuff, and you might, I know the infighting is a bit overdone, but this is it's a different set of infighting. It's not the same infighting that you've seen for the last whatever year or two or whatever it's been with Phelan Henley's team and Fatal Influence and all that, or with, I don't know, the Judgment Day or whatever else it is. I get that is something that some people are a bit fed up with or what have you, but you're seeing it. You might also be seeing it well, here's her saying, hey, look, I understand that, but, for tonight, for this is how it is, and, we've got to work together. It doesn't really matter who the head honcho or whatever else is, and she's the champion. So even though I don't like that as much as the decision, there is something there. You can still tell a story there, and you can show, future contenders for her in this match, or future partners for her, or future opponents for her, in a tag team situation. You might tag against Mara Shade and the Inspiration. Mara Shade and the Inspiration have already tagged up, so that would make some amount of sense. Who's she going to tag with? I don't know. But again, you could look at that saying, okay, we're going in that direction, and starting to go down that road of saying, Mara's probably not going to win the title, but she might be a future contender. So that is something to keep, you're thinking, okay, that's, down the road or whatever else it is. Maybe a minor contender, I don't know, but whatever. It still might be something that they might do, or it might just be that she's in a match with Mara against the Inspiration. There's another match that they could have, So again, you've got hundreds and hundreds of little things that you could try to do with doing that, and hundreds of little stories that you could do with doing that. And, I don't really know what the whole situation with, Jordan Grace being, potentially part of the teams that, just because she's a former TNA wrestler, so what? Honestly, yeah, sure, she can, obviously, but like now the teams are set. It's like, oh yeah, well, let's never mind. Um, for the men's, it's obvious like why, like, and also it's kind of obvious why Kalani is like in that role in some ways, because she is, say it with me, guys, a baby face, right? Okay. And who else? Like, maybe you could pick like one of the other women, but then it's like, well, that's in the TNA roster, but then it's like, well, you have your babyface champion on the NXT show, or on the NXT group, whatever, or you have to have her in a singles match. So I wouldn't mind seeing that, honestly, but like I think that was their thinking of saying, well, also, how many matches and how many things are we going to try to like do like on this night? And you've only got 2 hours, dude, or whatever it is. I think it's 2 hours, I'm not sure, but you haven't got infinite amount of hours to build up a match, and like 6 or 7 matches. Like, that's what you're starting to talk about. And then you're like really dividing people up and starting to say, all this stuff, especially if it's like, here's somebody, why would she be facing someone in NXT? You know what I mean? You've got to think it's the TNA people versus the NXT people. And yes, she might be an NXT person or whatever, but she has the TNA title. And I know, again, I don't agree with that, but still, like, it's one of those things. She is in that position, so they're trying to tell a story there with that. They're not just, oh, let's put her in there. She's been here for a week or been here for 10 minutes or whatever it's been. Doesn't matter. But that's the story that they're going with. They're going with, hey, you're the leader. Let's tell a story from there. Because, this is where I thought her story would go. Like, she's kind of in an awkward position as a babyface, and so eventually, is she going to turn heel, or, what's going to happen there? Like, there is that, like, intrigue in a sense of saying, okay, are we going to witness this heel turn, or what? Or, how is she going to, continue to fight through, all these people that are perfectly justified by saying, hey, get out of our locker room. You don't belong here, and you haven't really earned that title, because you're not one of us. You haven't gone through all the stuff that we've gone through and all the ridicule that we've gone through working here, But yeah, like, again, I think that's the biggest controversy that's happening with this show. Like, I didn't really know whether to cover it too much, but like, I'm not really gonna cover the whole like angle per se, or the whole thing per se. I'm probably not gonna barely talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it like if it affects TNA storylines and TNA pay-per-views and things like that, or whatever, or matches and things like that. But beyond that, I don't think like I have that much interest. And that's where WWE has kind of been like trying to be like, hey, TNA people, watch our show. Maybe we will catch the highlights. We're not that interested. Like, some people are interested, obviously, but I'm not interested. I shouldn't say that. I am not interested enough to really watch it. I will see some of the highlights or whatever else it is sometimes, and that's about it. Like, I do not care enough to watch that show. That is not a show that I want to watch just because my TNA guys are over there. I want that show to be good enough for me to watch. If I was going to watch it, I'd want to watch it for the fact that the show was good enough on its own. Like, and to me it could be, but the thing is, I just am so far out of the WWE bubble now, and I don't really want to go back in. Plus, like, again, it's one of those things of saying, well, I probably can only watch one wrestling show and cover one wrestling show a week. So it's like, like at the end of the day, I've got to keep following along with TNA because that's what I've been doing. So I'm not going to change now. It's too late. At least for me, it's too late. And still not to say the war's on or whatever in some ways, but to me it still is. It's real to me, damn it. Like the war's real to me, damn it. Sometimes, not to say anything bad about them because they do some good stuff, but I think like there are a lot of things that I just think are really silly or whatever else or whatnot. But if people enjoy it, I do not go out of my way to criticize or to tell them what they shouldn't like. I don't want them to tell me what I shouldn't like, or whatever, or make assumptions about like the show that I watch. I don't really like to make assumptions about the show they watch, but like just seeing some things here and there, like, and again, perhaps that's also the thing there of seeing some things here and there of, NXT or WWE or whoever, seeing some TNA stuff and being like, oh, that's cringe or whatever. But that's like one thing out of 100 things, and it's like, is that really gonna color your thing? But like, one of my biggest problems is WWE is just too big and like is already making too much money, so I would rather just watch an alternative to WWE. And AEW has got their nose up their ass, so like, and yet like every time that I've tried to watch it or tried to get into it, I've been like, dude, these guys have no clue what they're doing. Like, even though sometimes I will say it, like, to me, I can't understand what TNA is doing, perhaps. But it's nice to be surprised sometimes. It's nice to be like, oh, they did something that I didn't think that they would do. That's cool in some ways. That's amazing. Like, they pulled it out. They shocked people. And that's about creating those moments and people going, what? Or whatever sometimes. So, but obviously sometimes, as I've said, it's like, oh, and that is subjective. Is this too much of the same thing? Have we done this already? To me, it is in some ways. There is a lot of difference now, but it is a lot of the same thing. And I feel like you should have just kept with the JC Jane experiment, and yeah, let that ride. And it would have really sucked that Ash hadn't got the title or whatever. But I don't know, because then at least the title would be not being hot potatoed around all the bloody time. Although, like, you might have been like, oh, we still want to give Kalani a chance and she'll be on your roster now, or whatever. I don't know, but still, I do think, like, it would have obviously been Ash by Elegance, like, as the champion leading TNA. So, which, like, it's really weird in NXT as well, because literally everyone drops their personas, like their heel personas, to be, like, on NXT. Like Frankie Kazarian. Like, wait, what? He was heel. He's a heel. He's one of the biggest heels in the company. And yet over there, he's like babyface. So, but that's what WWE's storyline is. And again, you can argue it away and say, oh, well, this is more about the TNA WWE rivalry. And yes, they have their differences or whatever else it is, but they're a TNA family at the end of the day or whatever it is. So that's the idea there. But yeah, I wanted to come on and at least address this thing and say, hey, the guys and gals and whatever, like, if you're seeing it from fans online, don't worry too much about that. I'm way more worried about these guys who are quote-unquote so-called experts. Like, maybe if you see Bully Ray or somebody like that saying stuff like this, they really should know better. But especially since they've been in the business and whatnot, and should understand this sort of thing. But if you see guys that have been in this business for 20 years plus, whatever it is, saying, oh, this is stupid, this is dumb, I don't understand. Dumbass, have you taken 2 seconds to think? Like, this is for a story for later. That's it. Yes, it doesn't make any sense, in a sense, but that doesn't matter because this is the story that they're trying to tell you. And if you were paying attention and were letting it actually play out, then you would see that. Then you'd be like I sit back and I go, okay, this doesn't make any sense, but okay, let's see where it goes, or let's see what they're cooking. Let's, show it to me. Show me what you're gonna do. Like, that's why when people say, was this the right move or what was it the wrong move? Like I say, I wasn't a fan of it or whatever. I didn't think it was the right move, but at the end of the day, I'm going to sit back and say, okay, then, show me I'm wrong. Show me the storyline that you've got planned, because I want to see if you can pull it off, if you can give me some reason or more reason to actually be invested in that and show me, hey, this is what we had planned and this is why. Okay, cool, you did the thing, you made it work, or whatever it was. So that's cool with me. I don't sit around and complain and complain and complain. I say, oh, okay, I don't know about this or I don't know about that. But then I go, well, show me. Show me then. Show me what, you've got planned. What is this angle that you've got planned? Because, or obviously, there's got to be something here. It's not just, we did this because, you might be like, oh, do this. Okay, sure, but we need something to do with that. We can't just say, okay, let's put this title on this person. You need a story to come out of there. There is a natural story there. It's very obvious, like I've said it before, with that. So, and you're putting those people in those positions because you are like, okay, these are the people, or these are some of the people that we think they will have matches soon with, or relatively soon with, or what have you. Maybe not immediately, but soon. So, yeah. That is their plan. So, yeah. Just keep... I know a lot of you guys know this, but, like, you hardcore TNA fam that you are. But, yeah. I think, like, other people need to hear this sort of perspective of calm the fuck down, like, and freaking let it play out, because they've got things planned. They haven't just done this to piss people off. They've done this to be like, okay, we've got a storyline coming, and we've got angles coming, and we've got matches coming that involve, or revolve around this person being in this position. So that is it. Anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this one. I hope you join me again in another one.